Our next speaker for the day, and the first one for the afternoon, has over 3 decades of corporate and academic experience. At United Spirits, he played a significant role in creating some of India's most recognized and enduring alcohol brands, including McDowell's Signature, Royal Challenge, Bagpiper, and Blue Ribbon Duet. He is also the former president of J.K. Helen Curtis, where he re-energized the deodorant category by relaunching Park Avenue deodorant as a perfume. Since 2008, he has been teaching and conducting corporate workshops. As an educator, he has taught at IIM Indore and SP Jain School of Global Management. As a corporate trainer as well, he has worked with prestigious companies like Siemens India, Mercedes-Benz Research Center, and Reliance Industries, amongst others. He is the author of national bestseller books, The New Rules of Business and the 10 New Life-Changing Skills. To help us understand the key essential skills to help you transform yourself 10x and your company, join me in inviting on stage Mr. Rajesh Srivastava.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege to have an opportunity to present to manufacturing thought leaders. I worked in corporate for almost 25 years, so I'll just come down so that I can be with you. I worked in corporate for about 25 years, and what I realized is when I worked in corporate for 25 years or 30 odd years, my entire dedication was to my company. Every single thing that I did was dedicated to the company, and in the process I forgot to live and I forgot to reskill myself. I just worked and worked and worked for my company. As a result, what I found when I quit my corporate job to get into teaching, I realized how little I knew. It's only when I got into teaching that I realized how little I knew, and that's when I started building my knowledge. Why am I saying that? The same may be true for you. You are manufacturing thought leaders, and your entire second, every second is going and improving manufacturing of your company. But what about you? I think you may have just forgotten about yourself and how to skill yourself. And can I make this point? And the point is very simple. If you skill yourself, then your company can 10x its performance, which means that if you 10x yourself, the result will be you can 10x your company. So my entire perspective today is to have a conversation with you, not to share with you, but have a conversation with you how each one of you can 10x yourself. These techniques I have used during the course of my career, and they are tried and tested techniques in India, not abroad. So first, I'll take a global example and then I'll share an Indian example with which you would relate. So let's start. You know this bird. How did this bird come to life? How did this bird come to life? Twitter. Yeah, Twitter, but how did it come to life? May I share that with you? Yeah, it tweets. Oh, yeah, it tweets, but how did it come to life? उसका जन्म कैसे हुआ? Yeah, short message is the outcome, but where did the idea for Twitter come from? So may I share that with you, because I have exactly 45 minutes. Yes. The idea was that Jack Dorsey, who founded Twitter, was a nerd. He hacked into the emergency system of his city where he was, and what he realized is that whether it is the police or the firemen, when they communicated in short bursts. Fire on Grand Maratha, rushed fire engine, over. Rushing 3 fire engine, over. Police, murder in Mumbai, Sahara, rush reinforcement, rushing 3 police officers. What Jack Dorsey realized is when it is a question of life and death, then conversations are very short and crisp and most effective. But when the conversation happens between rest of us, we keep on talking, and even at the end, we do not communicate. So what did he do? He took the best ideas from the emergency system and he launched Twitter, where he put a constraint. He says 260 words, please communicate, characters. Now what did he do? He took the best ideas from the emergency system and put it for rest of us. It's valued at 44 billion, and today, whether it is our Prime Minister or the President or our official ministries, they are communicating more on Twitter than on any other medium. That's the power. What is the big idea? The big idea is to get the best ideas from outside your industry and intelligently adopt it. You will say, have you done it? Answer is, have you heard of McDowell's Signature, the whiskey brand? I gave that name McDowell. You will ask me, how did you do it? The answer was very, very simple. I was flipping through a Hindi magazine called Griya Shobha. This is a Hindi magazine which still exists, which existed 30 years back. I saw an advertisement, and the advertisement was for Signature Bindi. They had advertised Signature Bindi. I looked at that advertisement and said, it looks atrocious. Signature is very Western, Bindi is very Bharatiya, Indian. Doesn't work. But McDowell's Signature does. So what did I do? Signature Bindi ad I saw, I connected and I took this best idea from a woman's product and named it as McDowell's Signature. What do you have to do? The first lesson that I want you to remember is if you want to make your organization great, and if you take the best ideas from inside your industry, you will go up till a particular point. But if you get the best ideas from outside your industry, you will score a winner. Second thing, change the rules of the game. Whichever industry you are in, change the rules of the game. I worked in alcoholic beverages industry for almost 17, 18 years. Before me and after me. Before me, you can see any alcoholic beverage advertisement in India, across the world. They have lifestyle advertisement. There's a boy, there's a girl, there's a party, there's a car, there's everything. If I had followed that thing, I would also have been one of them. What did I do? I decided to change the rules of the industry on a determinant benefit. What is the determinant benefit? Benefits which customers want, competition is not giving, and you give. So what did I discover? People love drinking. Guys who drink. People love drinking, and I asked them, what's your problem? They said, we love drinking in the evening, but our problem is for the next morning. How will I go and make that presentation to my boss? Some people said, how will I face my wife the next morning? Some people in Mumbai said, how will I catch that 802 local from Thane? So what was the entire problem? The problem was that everybody was having a great evening, concern was for the next morning. So I took up, instead of looking at it as a lifestyle product, I looked at whiskey as a solution to people's problem. What problem you have, I'll give you a solution. So people said, I'm having a great evening, my concern is for next morning. So we launched this whiskey which is called Good Morning After Great Evening. It sold 500,000 cases in the first year. And do you see a woman who's fully dressed? Normally alcoholic beverages have evening party scene. This is morning, greenery, a woman who's fully dressed and out jogging. We sold 500,000 cases. Let me give you a second example. Away from alcohol, I was the CEO of J.K. Helen Curtis. The deodorant industry in the year 2002 was 66 crores. 66 crore. Today, the deodorant industry is more than 8,000 crore, and you can go to any pharmacist, modern retail like Reliance Retail or any one of this, a shop cannot run unless it has a deodorant. How did this 66 crore become 8,000? I was the first person in this country who said, based on an analysis, I will not sell deo, I'll sell perfume. No to deo, yes to perfume. I changed the rules of the game. Today, every single company brand you can check out, cannot sell unless it says perfume. What did I do? Change the rules of the game on a determinant benefit. Benefits which customers want, competition is not giving and you give. Let me go back to alcohol. Gin. Gin is sold as gin is sold as gin. I was the first person who added lime to it and I sold a premixed gin. The year it was launched was 1991 and it was called Blue Ribbon Duet. Before me, everybody sold gin. This was the first premixed gin that was sold in India. It sold 100,000 cases in 1990. And you know the constraint of gin in India is supposed to cause impotency. So men don't drink. And the only time men drink is during summer, that too summer afternoon. And when it was launched as a duet, it didn't appear to be gin and therefore it sold in 1990 100,000 cases, which is a huge figure. What is the lesson for you? Look back into your life. Are you following the same manufacturing process that has been followed for the last 20 years or 25 years, or have you made an effort to change the rules of the game? And if you haven't, you are me too. And what is stopping you from changing the rules of the game on a determinant benefit? If you don't do it, there's going to be a serious problem. Now let's go to the third issue. The third issue is, you see this gentleman, right? He was the first person who launched the first, that's Captain Gopinath. He is the first person who launched the first low-cost carrier in India, LCC. He used to sell tickets for 1 rupee. You remember? He revolutionized air travel. No matter what anyone says, he is the person. Now what was the thing? I asked him, what is the challenge you face? He says, the challenge I face is that I have reduced all cost. And after reducing all cost, still the airlines is not profitable. Then I asked him, if you have reduced all cost and still the airline is not profitable, then what did you do? He reflected for a moment and he says, if I had reduced any more cost to make it profitable, the aircraft would have fallen from the skies. So I said, then what did you do? He said, I did a very simple thing. I looked at all the cost, eliminated what could be, and when nothing was left, I looked at the revenues, right? So once I had eliminated all the cost and I was still not profitable, then I framed the question differently. I said, how can I convert a cost into a revenue? Initially, he used to give biscuits and toffees on the flight. He says, I stopped giving those freebies on the flight and I started charging for the snacks. Once the revenue started coming in, then what did he do? Which all of us now feel that it's gone to the other extreme. Whatever assets I have, which was say zero cost asset, which was dead asset for me, I started monetizing them. You want a window seat? Pay. You want an aisle seat? Pay. You want to check in, you want to get into the aircraft early? Pay. You want to have excess baggage which you want to carry with you? Pay. So what did he do? He sweated his asset. But what is the big idea? The big idea is that he framed the question correctly, how can I convert a cost into a revenue? What is the problem in our country? The problem in our country is very simple. I am part of that education which all of you are. Teachers give us question, we are expected to answer. But life does not give us a question, it gives us only a problem. But what do? Based on our student habit, we jump. As soon as the problem comes, we jump into solving it. That is the disastrous thing that you can do. Am I saying it? Professor Albert Einstein said, he said, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I did spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and framing it. And once I frame the right question, the answer will be self-evident, solution will be self-evident. Reflect back on your life. Reflect back on your workplace. You get a problem, you start solving it. And once you solve it, because you are not thought through, the solution is incorrect. You implement the solution, you realize there's another problem, then you jump into solving that other problem. Because it is not thought through, you come out with a solution that leads to another problem. So here is a lesson for you which you should actually tell your children also. Whenever faced with a problem, you are not expected to come out with a solution. Give yourself ample time and not less than at least 2 hours, and spend time in framing the right question. If you frame the right question, the answer will be self-evident. Can I just say one thing from Professor's talk, IIM Bangalore? She said, all of us are obsessed with understanding why people leave. Why can't we reframe that question and say, what makes people stay? The moment you frame the question in your organization, why are people leaving, you will get a whole lot of things which you do nothing about. That is post-mortem. But if you say, what can I do to make people stay, you will get a whole lot of things which is pre-mortem. Before the death has happened, please get all this. And for God's sake, teach this to your children also. Tomorrow when you are sitting on a dining table and a problem comes, and your child gives you a solution, say, think about the problem and frame the right question. Let's go to the next one. Spend time in framing the right question, the answer will be self-evident. Do you know this guy? Anyone? He changed our life. He is Travis Kalanick. He is the guy who came out with Uber. What happened? He was standing on a street in Paris, it was raining, and anyone who's been to Paris, much like Mumbai, taxis are never available. So he was standing, wanting to go to the airport, it was drizzling in Paris. After waiting for a long time, he came back to his room and asked himself a simple question. What if sitting in my room, I could do 3 taps and a cab will appear? I just sit on it and he will drop me. That is how the idea of Uber came. What did he do? He came across a problem which was a world's problem and he solved it. And Uber has actually disrupted the world's oldest industry. I'm not talking profession, oldest industry is taxi. These disrupted it. Let's come to the next person. Does anyone know him? He is a part of your life. He is a part of your life. Anyone? He is Eric Yuan, the gentleman who created Zoom. Now, what was his problem in life? I think you can see my age and I can see some of your age. So I'm not very young, but I'm sure young people face this problem which he faced when he was young. He fell in love with a girl in China. The problem was the Mumbai problem, commuting. Unlike Mumbai, his girlfriend used to stay 10 hours away, train ride. And every weekend he had to take a train ride to meet his girlfriend. He got so upset, so bored, so angry that he says, "Yeah, I want to meet my girlfriend, but I don't want to travel." What is the solution? Zoom. So what have these people done? One person has solved the world's wicked problem. He solved his own personal problem in the way that we are benefiting. Now let's come to us. Why can't we solve the wicked problem facing our industry? I solved it for the deodorant category. I said no to deo, yes to perfume. I solved a wicked problem and today the industry has grown 1,000 times. Why are you not solving the wicked problem that is facing your industry? And I can give you any number from my career and from any career that you would choose. You can choose any industry and I'll tell you how they have solved the problem. The first speaker had said, you understand the pain point of your customers and then make sure that you either reduce or eliminate it. In your case, you are the manufacturing head. You know the pain point that you have, then why aren't you either reducing or eliminating them? The onus is entirely on you. So the next thing is that you have to solve your wicked problem of your industry. Who's stopping you? My boss did not come, that was J.K. Helen Curtis, is a part of Raymond. My boss did not come and say, solve the problem. He said, sell Dio. It's only when I solve the customer's problem that I won. So are you solving your industry's wicked problem or accepting the problem and continuing with it and being ineffective and inefficient both? And your blood pressure going up and your health falling and your wife saying, why aren't you coming early home, and your children are still desirous of spending time with you. Let's go to the next problem. I wrote this book, The New Rules of Business. I had the privilege of meeting Mr. Adi Godrej to present a copy to him. Being a gentleman, when I met him in Vikhroli, which is a suburban place of Mumbai, when I went to meet him, he got up to receive me. He was that time 78. He accepted my book. He posed with the book, and then, being a gentleman, he just asked as a courtesy, Rajesh, would you like to have tea? I don't drink tea, but I looked at it as an opportunity to spend time with Mr. Adi Godrej. I said, yes, sir. He ordered tea, and I was sitting there, and I asked him, sir, is there any life lesson that you have that you would wish to share with me or for people of my kind? I was young compared to him. He thought for a moment, and then he said a very simple thing. He says, never stop learning. And anyone who knows Mr. Adi Godrej in 80s and 90s, if there was any seminar in Mumbai city, he would be there sitting on the front table. At 78, he is saying never stop learning, and we have stopped learning after we stepped out of our college. I admitted it to you. Now, what is the problem with the generation that you are? The problem is that knowledge today comes with an expiry date. Today you are in manufacturing. You know the changes that are happening. 3D printing is one big threat, and I can just give you a whole list of those things. Are you prepared? Are you anticipating it? Are you future ready? So here, never stop learning. I just want to take you back. One of the things that you have to do is learn, unlearn and relearn, right? You may have heard this. So here, I don't want you to look upon yourself as a manufacturing person. Please change your mind's orientation. Look upon yourself as a business manager or a business professional who's into manufacturing, because your dead end job is not to be the manufacturing head but to head a company. That is the orientation that you need to have. So put on your business manager's hat, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. These are not trick questions. These are not trick questions, and you have three options: agree, disagree and can't say. And don't give an answer, to look good. The objective here is to learn, right? So the first question that is before you is, I must protect the interest of my company. Do you agree, disagree or can't say? What do you think? How many of you agree or disagree? Agree. Agree. So can someone ask me whether I agree or disagree, please? Are you disagree or agree? Can I share my perspective? My perspective is I don't agree that I must protect the interest of my company. May I share my point of view with you? My reason is very simple. The company exists for what? The company exists for its customers. Sam Walton, the owner of Walmart, had said very simple thing. If my customer decide not to give me business and give business to somebody else, a big lock will be put on Walmart. A company exists for its customers. So whose interest should you protect? The company or your customer? Because if you protect your customer's interest, the customer will give you repeat business. And when your company gets repeat business, we will all be happy, sir, ladies and gentlemen, right? This is what they had taught me when I was at IIM Bangalore. But I somehow or the other managed, because I passed out last century in 1985. Changes were not so rapid, so I protected the interest of my company. So only now I realize that you have to protect. So can I now ask you the second question? I want to keep my customers happy, which means I must protect the interest of my customers. Agree, disagree, or can't say? Yeah, disagree, right? One person says disagree. So should I protect the interest of my company, of my customer? What does the team feel? What does the people feel? Agree, disagree, can't say? It's not a trick question, please. Agree or disagree? Agree, right? So here is a gentleman who says disagree. Yes, sir.
We must keep our employees happy, who in turn will keep the customer happy.
Absolutely. Your name, sir?
Nitin.
Nitin says, and that is the exact perspective. And you got to go back into the background. I disagree, Nitin disagrees. What he says is, in 21st century, rules have changed. So we learned that we must keep our company, company happy. Then I had to unlearn it and relearn that we must keep customers happy. Now in 21st century, I have to unlearn that and learn a new thing. We have to keep our employees happy. Because if your employees are unhappy, what quality products they will produce? If your employees are unhappy, will they produce good quality products? In Starbucks or in ITC Maratha, if the employees are unhappy, how will they greet us? They will greet us in a manner that we will be unhappy. And if we are unhappy, will we give repeat business to ITC Maratha? No. So in 21st century, the new rule is keep your employees happy, because happy employees make customers happy and happy customers give business to the company. End result is still the company, but the rules have changed. Now this is the kind of learning, unlearning and relearning you have to do. Maybe 3 years later if you come, I'll share a new perspective with you. And we can't deny it. The next thing, I know my competition. You are into manufacturing. If I were to, and please remember, this is not a trick question, because if you look at it and then you say what you don't feel like, there won't be any learning. Do you know your competition? Yes, no, agree, disagree, can't say. How many of you know your competition? Yes? Can you raise your hand? Thanks. I think most of us feel that we know our competition. Can I just say this? And ladies and gentlemen, please listen to this carefully. In the times gone by, and then I'll give you another example. In the times gone by, which is about, say, before 2008, what you said was right. A car company competed with another car company. Honda competed with Toyota or Maruti. But so what was competition? It was direct, visible. Till 2008, competition was direct, visible, and from the same industry. But in 21st century, competition, okay, so before I come, we are talking of automobile. Who is the world's most valuable automobile company today? Tesla. Now, is Tesla an automobile company? It is a tech company. It is a tech company, not an automobile company. And it has come and disrupted and destroyed at both all the leading car companies put together, whether it's Toyota, Honda, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, you name it. Why? The competition today is invisible, indirect, and cross-industry. The head of one of the largest banks of our country was asked in 2011, what is the biggest fear you have? And you know what he said was his biggest fear? He says, my biggest fear is very simple, that some people working in a garage in Navi Mumbai, which is a suburban of Mumbai, some people working in the garage in Navi Mumbai can destroy my life's work. And then he went away to Beijing. And Paytm came, Google Pay came, Apple Pay came, Bharat Pay came. What has happened today? Has it not disrupted the entire finance industry or the banking industry? Today, the Nariyal Pani Wala, the guy who sells coconut, he accepts GPay. What is the lesson for you? The lesson for you is, please, for God's sake, don't be under the impression that you know your competition. Competition today is invisible, indirect and cross-industry. Anyone can be your competitor. And the last question, please read this for what it is. I must lead my team. You are a leader, right? You are a manufacturing thought leader. That's what I think, manufacturing thought leader. As a leader, should you lead your team? Agree, disagree, can't say. How many of us agree that as a leader, I must lead my team, right? They expect it. How many of us agree, please? Can you just raise your hand? So can I just share my perspective with you? The professor had just alluded to it. In 21st century, what has happened? You are manufacturing thought leaders, and what the people below you are using you as an ATM for solving problems. Is that right? What do we do? When I run out of money, I go to an ATM, insert my card, money comes. Of course, I need to have money, right? What are our people below us doing? They have a problem, they don't even make an attempt to solve it, they come to us. And we are so programmed like an ATM, sir, problem, here's the solution. Now, what is the problem with being an ATM, the bosses, that is people sitting here? You know what you have done? Indirectly, you have made every single person who is in your team dependent on you. What is the job of a leader? The job of a leader is to make himself redundant so that he can go up. And what are we doing by being an ATM? We are making them more dependent and the company is more dependent. So what should you be? What should you be then? Mentor. Yes. Anyone? What's the difference between a mentor and a coach, please? It's important that you get this difference and then walk. What is the difference between a mentor and a coach?
Mentor directs and coach extracts from the.
Okay, mentor
Mostly supports and directs.
directs and coach extracts. Yes, sir.
Coach enables the other person to find the solution.
Yes.
Open-minded questions.
Yes. So what is the difference between a mentor and a coach? My suggestion would be, don't be a mentor. Mentor, this is my understanding, I could be wrong, but by definition, mentor is that person, you go to a mentor, using his vast experience as an expert will give you a solution. The dependency continues. But when you become a coach, then when your subordinate comes to you, you will not give him a solution, but pose a question to him. And when he answers that question, he will get a solution. Who does this? The board of directors. When you present to the board of directors of your company your performance, they will never do petty things. You are wrong, the figure does not match, I think you have to re-look. Those are negative way. What an intelligent board member will do? He will look at you and pose a question. Do you think this can happen? And when you answer that question, you will realize your own mistake. So start behaving like a board member and don't give a solution and don't be a mentor. Start posing the right question to your team members so that when they answer, they discover the answer and they become more self-confident and they are actually becoming leaders. So just one more thought. 21st century is not about leader and followers. It's about distributed leadership. Every single person in your company has to be a leader. That is the mark of success for you. From lifelong learning, so be a lifelong learner. Every place where you go, you should learn something. If you ask me, I learned a lot in the 3 presentations that were done ahead of me. And listen to everything critically. Critically means what? Don't accept everything that I tell you. Process it in your brain and then accept what you think you believe in. Now let's go to the next one. How to motivate your team. And here I'm going to share a zero cost strategies for doing it. You heard of Indra Nooyi, CEO, President of Pepsi. If you were President of Pepsi, or of, let's take you are head of manufacturing. You have people working below you. How are you motivating your people? So that they are inspired to give the best. So that if there is a positive pressure put on them to give their best. Positive pressure put on them. How are you motivating them? Anyone would like to share? May I share a zero cost thing? Indra Nooyi. What did she do? You know, she is the head of Pepsi, and if you give me an opportunity, I don't have the time, but tell you how she reimagined her business and changed the rules of soft drink. Can I just give that? Before her, soft drink was Coca-Cola. She came and she reimagined and changed the rules of the game and brought the best practices from outside her industry. What did she do? She said there are 3 types in the business I am in. One is fun for you, one is good for you, one is better for you. Coca-Cola had not thought of it. What is fun for you? Pepsi sugar drink, fun for you. What is better for you? Diet Pepsi. And what is best for you? All these non-healthy products take away. Gatorade, the oats. She reimagined the industry and got this best idea from outside her industry. And she framed the right question. Right? And I can give you you can pick anyone, Ratan Tata, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, you can pick anyone. And I'll tell you how they have changed the rules of the industry. Mr. Mukesh Ambani has, by framing the right question. Right? And by getting the best practices from outside the industry. And being a lifelong learner, you know how many hours he puts in? And the number of books he reads? If he can do it with his kind of wealth, then what is stopping us? Letter of gratitude. What did she do? Every year, number, I could be mistaken, but I'm just saying a number so that you get visualization. She sent 1,000 letters to the best performing employees, not give it to the employee, but address that to the parents of the employee saying, Pepsi is so privileged to have Mr. Kumar on its roll. Mr. Kumar has contributed this to Pepsi, because of which the company has gained enormously. We are very proud of your son. Now the moment that letter goes to the parents, what do you think happens? The mother starts crying. The father starts waving the letter. And what does the son do? He comes back saying, I am going to prove Indra Nooyi right. And how much money did it cost? 0. How many letters have we written? Have we appreciated our people? Let's come here. Dhoni. When IPL was in Dubai due to COVID, you know Chennai Super King did very badly. If you were the captain of Chennai Super King and you had all these superstars, how will you motivate them, make them realize that they were not doing justice? What would you do? Would you call them and fire them? What would you do? So that they realize and they put in a better performance. What do you think you would do? Can I share with you what he did? Make runs. Records will follow, but they were not making runs. Record though you can forget. They were not making runs. You saw what they did. Now the patient is in ICU and you say start running. It won't cut ice with them, no. So can I just share with you what he did? He called, again, first principle, praise in public and private. Now he was not even reprimanding. He called each person in private and he said, say Ravindra Jadeja, example. He said, we picked you for Chennai Super King because we saw your potential there, that green line. Now Ravindra Jadeja, you tell me how was your performance this IPL? What will Jadeja do? Will he say I am above this green line or below this green line? What will he say? Below the green line. The moment he says that I have underperformed, then Dhoni will ask him, what will you do so that where you think you are to come up to that level for which we bought you? What has he done? Very intelligently, without telling them that you have underperformed, he has made them realize they have underperformed, and when people realize they have underperformed, then they are motivated even more to live up to the expectation. Why? They were paid money. Now, come and ask yourself, so can I give you another example? You will say, yeah, MS Dhoni is known for it. Can I give you another example? Youngsters will know. Have you heard of CRED? Kunal Shah? He told me, I asked him, how do you motivate? He says a very simple thing. When any of my product manager gives me a solution or gives me some work he has done, without even looking at that paper, I ask that person, hey, let's say it's Kumar. Hey, Kumar, can you give yourself on a scale 1 terrible, 10 excellent, how much will you give yourself to this work you have done? If you are a professional, you will never say 10. You will say, Kunal, I think 7. He says, I also think 7. So can you make it 8? Of course, Kunal. Now go. Now what has he done? That is why he is a billionaire. Right? Now just look at some of these techniques. Then you will say, hey, have Elon Musk from manufacturing. See, you may say whatever, but he's changed the world. What did he do about factory? When he set up the Tesla factory, the Giga factory, whenever there was an accident, any worker had an accident, what did he do? He would go and ask that worker, why did that accident happen? What do you think is the cause? Take a recce, make sure that that problem was rectified. And then, what do you think he did? He did not get any other worker to stand on that place. After rectification, he would stand where that accident happened to tell people this is how seriously he took that. How many of us seeing a problem, हाँ यार ये कर दो, अभी निकलो इधर से. Do we take that as a personal responsibility or do we just show him off? This is the reason why people respect him. Then you will ask me, यार ये तो ठीक है ना, Elon Musk, Dhoni and Indra Nooyi, तुमने कुछ किया है क्या? Have you done something? Of course I have done. When I was the president of JK Helen Curtis, every Sunday, it's a Raymond group, every Sunday, that time mobile was not so extensive, I had a mobile, but the company had given STD in my residence. Every Sunday at 11 o'clock, I would call 3 area managers. Let's take Jaipur area manager, I called him. It's Sunday, 11 o'clock. So there is no identification. Hello, Bol. I said, I'm Rajesh Srivastava. Hello sir, सब ठीक है sir, sale number हो जाएगा. I said, I did not call you for your sale number. I called you to find out how are you and how's your family. Sir, I'm good. Family भी बहुत अच्छा है. Family is very good, sir. Do you have any problem? Sir, कोई नहीं sir, सब handle कर लेंगे. You don't worry. ठीक? Kept the phone down. Then called another person. Same. Then my wife asked me because it was home. Making this call, you think has any effect? She sees me every day. My saying on her has no effect. So she thinks that it has no effect. You agree? Right? Okay, I can see many older people smiling and laughing. So does your saying anything to your wife? It has no effect. So she feels your speaking to that area manager has no effect. Then I gave her an example. I said, if Mr. Gautam Singhania were to call me on a Sunday and ask me not about work, but ask me, Mr. Srivastava, how are you? How is your family? How will you feel? I'll feel very, very happy because he's the owner and he's asking you. I said, for my area manager, I'm the Gautam Singhania. How much did it take me? 5 minutes. but it created a feeling that I'm cared for, I'm wanted. And the company turned around. I grew the revenue 3 times and the profit almost 2.5 times in 3 years. Every year I doubled it. So asking yourself, are you motivating your people by giving money, by rewarding them, or by zero cost, by making sure that they feel that you are kind and nice? Transform into the best version of yourself. So I'm just going to share. This was about motivation, this is about you. Okay. So this is the last part of the slide. You know Sheryl Sandberg, right? She had an unfortunate tragedy, her husband died. And you would have read in newspaper that when her husband died, Mike Zuckerberg went and met her because she was not able to focus, and he almost hugged her and said, Sheryl, don't worry, take as much time as you want. But she was not able to get out. So one of the psychologists who was her friend one day was asking her, so what happened? She says, I'm facing this terrible crisis. My husband died and I have 2 children and life is unfair. He says, what do you mean life is unfair? Life is good for you. She looked at this guy and says, are you crazy? My husband has died. I have 2 children. I have to take care of them, and you're saying nothing wrong has happened. Life is good. Sorry? Correct. So this person, the psychologist, looked at her and said, you are looking at the current situation. But imagine if your husband, he had a sudden heart attack. If your husband was driving on this hilly track and your 2 children were in the car and he had this sudden heart attack, then what do you think would have happened? Things could have been worse. And the day she realized this, she transformed. So what is the technique that she used, which I would request you to use? This is called event, thoughts, emotion and action. Over event, none of us have any control. Fire in a factory, the boss screaming at us, correct? We have no control over it. But the thought is what we have control over. And thoughts determine our emotion. So can I just say this? Event, her husband died. What is the thought? I'm unlucky, life has been very unkind. And what is her emotion? Sadness. And when you work out of sadness, when you act out of sadness, there's nothing you can do. Now, with this input coming, that you are lucky, event is the same accident, but the thought is, oh man, I'm so lucky. I'm so grateful. The moment you say I'm so grateful, emotion is of positivity, and when you act out of positivity, you win. What is the lesson for you? Lesson for you is, event you have no control. But what you have control over is your thought. Convert negative into positive, and then you see your emotion, and emotion will determine how you act. And once you act with positive emotion, with confidence, you shall win. So 1, learn to control your thoughts. Example, a test cricketer, I can name him if you want. So I asked him, what is the biggest thing that a cricketer should have? He says, mind control. I said, why? He says, when I walk from the pavilion to the wicket, if I am scared, what if I get out the first ball? I'll make a fool of myself in the stadium and 1 million people who are viewing me. What if I don't score a run? Will I get selected for the next match? Or will I be benched? If I have these thoughts, I'll get out. But if I have positive thought, man, like Rahul Dravid, people ask Rahul Dravid, most often the openers get out, you have to face the new ball. Aren't you scared? He says, no, I'm not scared. I look upon it as an opportunity to prove myself. Ask yourself, when you faced an event which is negative, what are your thoughts? Yaar, fir aa gaya, fir problem aa gaya. And when you say the problem has come again, your emotion is negative. And when you act out of that, you will lose. The next, how many minutes I have, sir? Done? Okay, last slide. Last slide. I'll just say this. 1500 years back, Romans built this wall to keep the water away, the dikes and everything. These 1500 years later still stand. Why? Because what they did was, they used 3 things: volcanic ash, volcanic rock, and lime soda. Volcanic ash, lime, and volcanic rock. Now, what used to happen when the water came and hit against the wall, a very unusual thing happened. The unusual thing was a chemical reaction happened between the volcanic ash, the volcanic rock and the lime, and a chemical, each time it hit, a chemical was formed which bonded the rocks even stronger. As a result, what happened was that the water which was supposed to break the wall, each time it hit it, it made the rock, the wall stronger. And this is what is called anti-fragile. A fragile person is one who, when you hit, breaks. Who is an anti-fragile? When a problem strikes that person, the person becomes stronger. So, in India, where we face problem every single day, if you are fragile, life will leave you behind. So, learn to be anti-fragile, right? And therefore, these are the 10 things that you should do. And just because of shortage of time, first is get the best ideas from outside your industry, intelligently adopt it in your industry, change the rules of the industry on a determinant benefit which customers want, competition is not giving and you give. Frame the right question. Don't jump to solution. If you take time in framing the right question, you will never have to redo the solutions. Solve in your industry's wicked problem. You are facing it, you are getting tortured, solve it. Be a lifelong learner. Motivate your team through zero cost thing that I shared with you. Transform into the finest version of yourself. I could just do 2 things. One is become anti-fragile, right? And that is what I wanted to share with you. If you do this, these are just some of the things, you will 10x your performance. And if you do that, your company will 10x its performance all because of you. And when you 10x your performance, your growth will come, your family will be happy. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.